You know, if you're a woman over 50, let's be honest, haven't you had those moments where, like, the scale just keeps creeping up no matter what you do,
Yeah.
and you get that mental fog? It just kind of rolls in out of nowhere.
Huh. Tell me about it.
And your energy levels just totally tank by, like, mid-afternoon and
Totally.
a good night's sleep. Forget about it.
Oh, yeah. It feels like a thing of the past.
It's like your body completely lost the instruction manual. You know what I mean?
Like it's just decided to stop playing by the rules. And
Exactly.
it can be so frustrating because, like, a lot of the health advice out there just feels, I don't know, so generic, you know?
Yeah.
It's not really addressing those uh, specific changes that happen in your body at this age, right?
Right. And that's actually why we're doing this deep dive today.
Good.
We've been looking into Dr. Heike Franz's work,
Ah, yeah.
and her approach to health coaching for women over 50 is, well, it's refreshing.
It is?
It's not about, chasing the latest fad diet or beating yourself up over every little treat.
No guilt trips allowed.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Her focus is on, like, building lasting health, managing your weight without feeling deprived,
Yes.
and keeping your mind sharp, like really focused.
Yeah, and she really cuts through all the noise and all the conflicting information out there,
Yeah, she does.
which I think is so important because, you just get bombarded with stuff
all the time.
all the time.
And what's really interesting is that she believes that this time in a woman's life, midlife and beyond, it's not about accepting limitations. It's about taking control.
Yes, it's so empowering.
It
It's
is.
about, recognizing that you have the power to make a change.
Right, to feel your best.
Absolutely. And she's all about working smarter, not harder, which is
Especially
especially when you're, juggling so much already at this stage of life.
Oh, so much, yes. And she actually uses this really interesting concept. She calls it her digital co-pilot.
Ooh, I like that.
We're going to get into that, but first.
Yeah, set the stage.
Exactly. We're taking all of this from a blog post on Dr. Franz's website. It was published on April 7th, 2025, and it's titled AI-Powered No-Nonsense Health Coaching for Women 50 Plus.
Straight from the source.
Straight from the source, yeah.
I love it.
So our mission today is to really get a grasp on Dr. Franz's philosophy, her practical no-nonsense approach.
Yeah, cut to the chase.
Exactly. And how she uses AI in her coaching practice to actually help women over 50.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is. It is. So, okay, let's start with, who is Dr. Franz? What makes her approach so unique?
Well, she comes from a really interesting background. She
did.
spent over 25 years working in IT and corporate controlling.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. It is. So that's like a quarter century of analyzing data, working with logic, and, as she puts it, developing a really strong BS radar.
I think we could all use a little bit of that,
Right.
especially in the health and wellness space.
Oh, absolutely. And that background in technology is actually what led to her early interest in AI.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that corporate IT perspective, it kind of seems to influence her approach to health, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, totally. She's really big on understanding the science behind things, but without getting too bogged down in, the jargon.
Yes.
It's more about explaining why certain research findings are important
Right.
and whether they actually apply to you in your life.
And not just in theory, right?
Exactly. Exactly. She wants you to see real results in your daily life.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Yeah. And a big part of that is nutrition. She's really committed to debunking all those nutrition myths that are out there.
Which there are a lot of.
Oh my gosh, so many. And she does it all based on solid scientific evidence. I mean, she even offers a free ebook called Busting Myths, Boosting Health.
I saw that.
Yeah, which is awesome.
It is.
It really shows you that she's all about evidence-based advice, not just, the hype and the flashy headlines.
What I find really impressive is that she actually takes the time to validate and read all of the scientific studies she talks about. Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Because, it's so easy to just take things at face value these days.
Especially with all the information overload, right?
Exactly. So going back to the original source, that's so important.
It's like getting the real story, not just the sound bites.
Right, right. And another thing that really adds to her perspective is her own personal journey.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
She's a recovered anorexic, and she's very open about her experience in treatment.
Which is so brave of her.
It is.
Because I think it helps to, break down the stigma.
Oh, absolutely. And she talks about how traditional therapy, while helpful in many ways,
Yeah.
it often lacked a deep understanding of nutrition and the complexities of emotional eating.
Right, because it's all connected, isn't it?
It really
Your
is.
mind and your body.
Right. So that lived experience gives her such a nuanced perspective on these issues.
It does, and it's something that, you don't always find in purely academic approaches.
Right. It's that human element.
Yeah, the empathy. Exactly. So it seems like that personal journey has really shaped her understanding of the connection between mental well-being and, the practical side of nutrition.
Oh, absolutely. It's all intertwined.
Okay, so we have a good sense of Dr. Franz's background and her no-nonsense approach. But
Now for the really interesting part.
let's talk about AI, because this is clearly not just a buzzword for her.
Not at all.
So she actually mentions that her first encounter with AI was way back in 1987.
Wow. That's before a lot of people even knew what AI was.
I know, right? It was with a program called ELIZA.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that.
For those who might not know, ELIZA was this early program that could, simulate conversation,
Using natural language processing, which is pretty mind-blowing for back then.
It is.
What does?
So her interest in AI, it goes way back.
Deep roots.
And now she says she uses it daily
Wow.
as a creative partner, a research assistant, and just a general productivity booster.
So it's like her secret weapon.
It really is. And all of it's aimed at getting better results in her coaching.
Makes sense.
So how does this digital co-pilot actually work in practice? What specific tools is she using?
Well, she breaks it down into a few key areas.
Okay.
The first one is research and content curation.
Right, which is crucial in a field like health and wellness.
Oh, absolutely. Things are constantly changing. New research is coming out all the time.
Exactly, and she points out the challenge of staying up to date with nutrition research, especially for women over 50.
Yeah, because there's not as much research focused on that demographic.
Right, which is a problem.
It is.
So can you imagine trying to sift through all those studies and papers
Though it would be overwhelming.
to find the information that's specifically relevant and high quality
Yeah, and reliable.
for women over 50?
Yeah, that's a needle in a haystack situation.
It is.
So this is where AI comes in.
Okay.
She uses a bunch of different tools. She mentions Elicit, SciSpace, Perplexity, Research Rabbit.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, right? Semantic Scholar and Consensus.
Those are all AI powered, right?
Yep, they're basically specialized search engines for academic research.
Okay, so it's not like just doing a Google search.
No, these tools help her quickly find studies that are specifically focused on women over 50.
Okay.
And they can even analyze the methodology and the conclusions of those studies much more efficiently than, doing it manually.
So it's like having a super-powered research assistant.
Exactly. And that saves her so much time.
So much time.
But the tool she really raves about, the one she calls a life changer, is Notebook LM.
Notebook LM.
It's from Google. It's based on their Gemini AI.
Interesting.
And she says it's even better than manual methods for extracting the key points from, well, pretty much any kind of content. URLs, videos, audio recordings, PDFs, you name it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so imagine, instead of spending hours reading dense research papers or transcribing long videos, Notebook LM can just pull out the most important insights.
That would save so much time.
It does, and it's not just summarizing,
What else can it do?
It can generate Q&A sections,
Okay.
create timelines of key findings, develop detailed mind maps to visually organize complex information.
I love mind maps.
They're so helpful.
So helpful.
Yeah, she even mentions that it helps her come up with fresh ideas for her lessons and her content.
Wow, so it's not just about saving time, it's about enhancing her creativity.
Absolutely, and there's actually a figure referenced in the blog post, Figure 1, that shows an example of a mind map created with Notebook LM.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it really shows you how it visually structures information.
Okay, so Notebook LM helps her extract and summarize key information. But then she mentions Napkin, so what does that do?
Napkin is all about visualizing information, so she often uses the output from Notebook LM or other sources, and it helps her to organize and visually connect ideas.
Okay.
Which is really helpful for brainstorming, or when she's trying to find those unexpected relationships between different concepts. It's kind of like, when you spread out all your notes on a big table and start drawing lines between things.
I love doing that.
Yeah, me too. So she actually has a visual in the blog post, Figure 2, that shows an overview of her business micro niche.
Oh, cool.
Visualized in Napkin.
So it's really bringing those ideas to life.
Exactly.
Okay, so Notebook LM helps her get the information. Napkin helps her see the bigger picture, the connections.
Yeah. And then she uses Gamma. Gamma is her go-to for creating presentation slides.
Makes sense.
So she takes the structured information from Notebook LM
Okay.
and the visual connections from Napkin,
Right.
and she can quickly generate these really visually appealing slides.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
So is that the final step?
Well, she does mention that she likes to download the slides into PowerPoint
Okay.
to add her own finishing touches, like animations and custom formatting.
That makes sense. So her personal touch is still there.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about, letting the AI do everything.
So this whole system, Notebook LM, Napkin, Gamma, it's not just about efficiency.
Right.
It's about helping her to see things in new ways, to make those connections, and to present the information in a really engaging way.
Yeah, and to even discover new insights, to find those hidden connections
Right.
between different areas of her expertise.
Which I bet happens a lot in health and wellness. Right?
Oh, constantly. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so let's move on to writing and editing, because she mentions ChatGPT.
Ah, yes, ChatGPT. Everybody's talking about it.
It's everywhere.
It is. It is. But it's interesting to see how she's actually using it in her health coaching.
Specifically for women over 50.
Yeah. So for her, it's a really versatile tool. She uses it for brainstorming topics, for her course modules,
Okay.
for polishing up her blog posts, for crafting those informative emails.
Right.
And she uses it to check the tone of her writing, to make sure it's approachable and supportive.
I like it.
Yeah. And to simplify complex explanations so they're easier to understand.
Especially important when you're talking about, health and science.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, catching those pesky typos.
We all need help with that.
Right.
So is she just letting ChatGPT write all of her content?
No. She's very clear about that. Her own voice and perspective are always front and center.
Okay, good.
So if the AI-generated text doesn't sound like her or it doesn't flow naturally,
Yeah.
she'll just toss it and rewrite it herself.
I like that. So it's a tool, it's not a replacement.
Exactly. It's about enhancing her skills, not replacing them.
Okay, what about video content? She mentions using AI for voiceovers.
Yes, so for the videos in her courses, she uses a tool called Revoicer.
Revoicer.
And this saves her a ton of time on recording and editing.
I bet.
And it also makes sure that the delivery of her lessons is consistent and clear.
Right.
So she often uses a female voice with a British accent, which she says reminds her of a former colleague.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and for shorter audio segments, she actually created a clone of her own voice.
What?
Yeah, including her German accent.
That's amazing.
I know, right? And she says it sounds really natural.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is. Technology is amazing these days.
So it's like having a personal voiceover artist on demand.
Exactly, and it lets her focus more on the content itself.
Makes sense. Okay, so this is getting even more futuristic. She even created an AI avatar of herself.
I know, right? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does.
But it's real.
So how did she do it?
She used a tool called BIGVU for her longevity course.
Okay.
And she also mentions Hagen is another option.
Okay.
And she sees this as a way to quickly record, short video clips for her course.
Right.
Without having to worry about all the usual stuff, like lighting, hair, makeup.
Or interruptions.
Exactly. And she thought it was funny that her avatar also ended up with a British accent.
No way. So it's like the British accent is taking over the AI world.
Maybe. But I think the main point is that it helps her streamline the video creation process
Right, so she can focus on the content
and connect with her audience.
without getting bogged down in all the technical details.
Exactly.
Okay, and the last thing she talks about is visuals.
Yes, visuals. Those are so important.
Especially when you're trying to explain complex concepts.
Right, and she uses Artistly and other design tools to create these really informative infographics and visuals to help explain things like, hormone balance and changes in metabolism for women over 50.
So it's about helping people visualize the science.
Exactly, and she says that creating these visuals is also a creative outlet for her, which is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not just about, the work, it's about the enjoyment too.
So it sounds like AI is woven into pretty much every aspect of her work.
It is. It's like her partner in crime.
So what would you say are the biggest benefits of using AI in this way, according to Dr. Franz?
Well, she highlights a few key things. First, personalization at scale.
Okay.
So AI helps her tailor her materials to the specific needs of her clients.
Which is important because everyone's different.
Exactly. And it frees up her time so she can focus on the more, nuanced and individual aspects of coaching.
Makes sense.
Second, she believes it creates a better learning experience.
Okay, so
Well, it makes her content more engaging, more visually appealing, and easier to understand.
Especially when you're dealing with complex scientific stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Those are both really important benefits.
They are. And she also mentions time saving as a huge factor.
Nice.
AI helps her get over writer's block. It speeds up the content creation process.
Which we all need help with.
Right.
So she can spend more time on, the deep thinking and the really valuable insights.
Yeah, the stuff that only a human can do.
What else?
Consistent quality is another big one.
Okay.
AI helps her catch errors and maintain those high standards across all her materials.
Makes sense. We all make mistakes.
We do. And finally, she sees AI as a source of creative inspiration.
Interesting.
Yeah, it helps her explore new perspectives, uncover potential blind spots, and brainstorm new ideas.
So it's not just about, doing things faster. It's about doing things differently.
Exactly, and better.
So for her, it sounds like AI is this really powerful set of tools that amplifies her own expertise and capabilities.
Yeah, that's like her superpower.
But she's also aware of the potential downsides, right?
Absolutely. She's not, blindly embracing AI.
Okay, good.
She's very cautious about becoming too reliant on it. And she stresses the importance of the garbage in, garbage out principle.
Which means
if you feed the AI bad information, you're going to get bad results.
Makes sense.
So you got to be careful about the quality of the input.
Right. So what are some other limitations she mentions?
Well, she emphasizes that AI lacks true creativity.
Oh.
It can't replicate her unique voice, her sense of humor, or that genuine personal connection she has with her audience.
Right. It can't replace the human element.
Exactly. And she also points out the lack of lived experience.
Like what?
Well, AI doesn't know what a hot flash feels like, or the real impact of menopause symptoms.
Right. It can only process the data. It can't actually experience it.
And she tells this funny story about a male speaker on the Notebook LM podcast discussing menopause, which, highlights the fact that AI just doesn't have that firsthand perspective.
It's funny, but it makes a good point.
Yeah. And she also cautions about the potential for AI to sound, impersonal or robotic.
Right. Or just kind of generic.
If it's not carefully reviewed and edited by a human.
So it's a powerful tool, but it needs a skilled human to guide it.
Absolutely. And to make sure that the output is actually valuable and resonates with the audience.
Okay, so if we bring it all together, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that AI, when it's used thoughtfully and strategically by an expert, like Dr. Franz.
With real-world experience.
Yes. It has the potential to lead to more personalized, more engaging, and more insightful health guidance.
It's about that synergy, right?
Yeah. Technology enhancing human expertise, not replacing it.
I like that.
So this leads to a question for you, the listener.
Okay, I like this.
How could technology, when combined with your own personal experiences and a critical eye, offer new ways to approach challenges in your life?
Interesting.
Or to access information and support?
In other areas, not just health.
Exactly. Could AI be a tool that helps you gain deeper insights?
Okay.
And more tailored solutions for your own well-being?
That's a great question.
In ways you haven't even thought of yet.
And maybe the integration of AI doesn't have to be impersonal.
Right.
Maybe it can actually lead to more focused and relevant connections and knowledge.
It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Lots to ponder.
Lots to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today.
This is a good one.
Until next time.
See ya.